Hello and welcome to January 27th edition of Monday Night Raw here on the channel. This is the go-home episode of Raw before Royal Rumble post Saturday Night Main Event episode. It's in the middle of everything. I don't know why they scheduled it that way, but you know, it's a good show, I think, either way. So we got the opening segment here. Like it's a 96, by the way. Very good. Very happy with that. With CM Punk opening the show, saying that Cena might not have been able to get the job done, but he can, and he doesn't care how he has to earn it. But he's shooting his shot at that World Heavyweight Championship, and he wants Gunther to come out and tell him what he needs to do right now. But instead of Gunther's music hitting, we get Seth freaking Rollins, who comes out and says absolutely not, and he'll take Punk on right here, right now, and take that opportunity himself. Now Gunther's music hits. He says that neither of them deserve a title shot yet, but he's willing to scout them. So if either man can pin him in a non-title triple threat match, then he'll grant them the next shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. So this sets up a triple threat match right now, right here, between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Gunther. And we start out with Gunther controlling most of the match, with Punk and Seth getting a few moves off in between. Seth hits a super kick on Gunther, which staggers him, and he quickly follows up with a Falcon Arrow, but Gunther kicks out immediately at 1. He's showing why he's the champion. Punk sneaks in, and he gets a high knee to Gunther's face, which rocks him a little bit. And then Seth and Punk are going at each other now. This is about them, to be honest. They're the ones that hate each other. They're, getting some rapid strikes in, and Punk gets the upper hand, sending Seth into the ropes. Gunther finally recovering him. He finally recovers and double German suplexes both of the guys, both Punk and Seth. He hauls Seth up for a powerbomb, but Punk recovers quickly and kicks the back of Gunther's leg, causing him to drop Seth. Gunther turns around to get at Punk, but Punk ducks beneath him, rebounding off the ropes a few times. He keeps evading Gunther. And then Gunther is frustrated and stumbles into the corner after Punk hits a move. Punk hits a running high knee into the corner, getting Gunther, and then he goes for another move, but Gunther shoves him off, throwing him to the ground. Seth sees this and he goes for the stomp on Punk. He really hates CM Punk, but Punk dodges and is able to lift him up for the GTS, and he hits it. So Seth goes to the ground. 1, 2, 3. Punk wins, and Gunther does not interfere with the pin attempt because he knows that Punk pinned Rollins, but he didn't pin him. He didn't pin Gunther, meaning that he didn't earn the title shot there. And that match is an 81. Awesome. Very, very happy with that. 82 for Punk, 88 for Gunther, 67 for Rollins. I'm actually very surprised with that. We got the GTS in there, very happy. I made this a spectacle, which, let's see if there were any, maybe Rollins was penalized. Let's see. Okay, I guess his psychology isn't that great, I'm surprised by that. But yeah, that gains heat, an 81. Very, very happy with that. The crowd loved it. A great start to the match, to the show. And obviously this is just on free TV. Very, very happy. Punk pins Seth. Maybe Seth will, leave Punk alone now. I mean, he knows Punk didn't get the title shot. He kind of stopped him there. So we'll see we'll see what happens next. And we head to PFC, who come out after this match, like after a commercial. Pure Fusion Collective, Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler all come out celebrating the fact that all three of them now have titles. So I think by fact, that makes them the most dominant group on Raw. Natalya comes out and says that she's tired of being overlooked and she wants a shot at Sonya's title. Sonya laughs her off, calling Natalya the past, saying that she's tired of legends like Natalya thinking they can just walk in and claim what younger, hungrier talent have earned. Did she learn anything from Cena? Clearly not, right? She says, "You want a title shot? Get in line, Grandma," which causes Ivy Nile to come out. She argues that she was just in a top contenders match for the world title, so, why didn't she get a contenders match for the IC title? This causes our assistant general manager, Kiana James, to come out and say, all right, enough, everyone. We do things the right way around here. And she announces that right now we will get Natalya versus Ivy Nile, and the winner will face Sonya Deville for the women's IC title next week. So another title match next week. This gets a 48, decent enough. We're starting a storyline with PFC. Obviously, the Zoe and Shayna won the women's world tag titles, and Sonya won the women's IC title. So we get this match between Natalya and Ivy Nile, where Ivy's controlling most of the match. She's really powerful. She's got her suplexes and her submission attempts that are wearing Natalya down. But Natalya rallies pretty late into the match with a running dropkick to the knee, a quick snap suplex, something like that. She goes for the sharpshooter, but Ivy's able to get out of it, rolling through, and almost gets Natalya with a sleeper hold from behind. They both get to their feet, and they're able to hit each other with a double clothesline. So they're both down. Sonya Deville's at ringside, smirking, yelling at them how they're both weak and neither of them deserve this title opportunity. Ivy Nile whips Natalya into the ropes and goes for a pop-up slam, but Natalya counters midair into a sunset flip roll-up for a near fall. Ivy gets back up, she's swinging wildly, and Natalya is able to duck and grab Ivy Nile's legs and is able to lock in the sharpshooter in the dead center of the ring. Ivy really reaching for that rope, trying to get the rope break, but Natalya, she's got it locked in, which causes Ivy Nile to tap out. And your new number one contender is Natalya. She gets a 62 here. Very happy. The segment gains heat. A 59 for that match. They have great chemistry. Awesome. I mean, it makes sense. They're both very similar. And yeah, Natalya will face Sonya Deville next week for the women's Intercontinental title. And yeah, we're getting that storyline heat up. Awesome. And next up, we've got the tag match between Finn Balor and JD McDonough versus the War Raiders for the World Tag Team titles. Obviously, last week, Finn Balor was not able to make the show, and JD McDonough was able to get the win and earn them this match. So they're doing their match right now. The War Raiders take control early, but Finn and JD recover using some fast tags, some quick moves, the stuff they did in their tag matches when they actually had them in the real life. But Eric begins mounting a comeback for the War Raiders, getting some stiff strikes off, and JD's able to tag in Finn. And JD, while he tags out, starts arguing with the ref, saying, like, let's say there was just like a near fall or something there. JD's arguing, telling him to count 1, 2, 3. While JD's talking to the ref in the corner, Dominic Mysterio hops up onto the ring apron and cracks Eric in the back with a chair. Finn quickly, capitalizes on this and hits his coup de grace. The ref turns around, seeing this. Finn Balor's about to get down and cover Eric for the pin and the win, and they're going to win their tag titles back. But suddenly Damian Priest's music hits, which distracts Finn Balor and the ref long enough for Eric to recover and kick out. Damian Priest's music hits, but he never actually walks out to the ring. It's just a distraction. Eric's able to get the tag in. Finn tags in JD. Ivar knocks JD down, stands tall on the top rope, and hits the frog splash, for a huge finishing move. And he gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. The War Raiders make their first defense of the World Tag Team titles. And that match gets a 71. My God, I did not expect that. 58 for JD, 74 for Finn, 62 for Ivar, 58 for Eric. Very, very happy with that. A 15-minute long match. I told them to steal the show, and they definitely did that. We had the Mysterio attack, the Priest distraction, And wow, 71. I'm very, very happy with this match. Great, great match. I was not expecting that at all. We go backstage to Karrion Kross, who's giving an interview to Byron Saxton. He's standing there with Scarlett, and he's offended at the Wyatt Six. I think that they're the new monsters on Raw. If anyone's the monster on Raw, it's him. It's Karrion Kross. He says that, well, Miz still owes him a favor. He needs Miz to actually be here to give him that favor. So he's challenging Eric Rowan to a match. And if he wins, then Uncle Howdy needs to let Miz go. In the background of this interview, we see Nikki Cross, who's standing, from afar, watching, just staring at Scarlett. And yeah, this gets a 54, a simple interview segment. Happy enough with that. As now John Cena comes out to the ring. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, John Cena comes out to the ring, says he doesn't want any excuses. He wants to earn his way back because Gunther beat him fair and square. So now his hope is that he can win the Royal Rumble this weekend, or if he doesn't do that, he'll be able to win the Elimination Chamber, possibly. Those are his real last chances at WrestleMania. Suddenly, that luchador fan that distracted Cena at Saturday night's main event, he's in the crowd again. He hops the barricade. Pat McAfee notices him, saying that he's the fan. And it's El Hijo, Dr. Ragnar Jr., and I just made his name Dr. Ragnar. Simple, just like they made Pentagon Jr. Penta. It's just simple. It's cleaner. I like it. So yeah, let me know what you think of that name. But he was the fan that distracted Cena, and he's apologized. He hops the barricade to apologize. Mr. Cena, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to distract you during your match. I was just in awe. You've been my hero since I was a kid in Mexico. I was watching you while my father was wrestling legends, and I just wanted to be near you. Cena's a little confused. Raises his eyebrow. I appreciate the respect, but let's not pretend that you didn't cost me a world title. Before Wagner can respond, R-Truth's music hits. What's up? What's up? He walks out in his full Cena merch. He's got the jorts on. He's got the never give up towel. And, his oversized cap. He's even carrying a replica spinner belt. He spins it before he's saying, "No, hold on. You ain't John Cena's biggest fan. I've been his biggest fan since I was a little R-Truth, just watching him back in '93." Cena tells Truth that he didn't debut in '93. He debuted after that, but Truth tells Cena that time is a flat circle, John. This causes Kiana James to walk out again. She's kind of playing along with the joke. She says, all right, this is getting out of hand. Since you both claim to be Cena's #1 fan, let's settle this the only way that we know how here, in the ring. Now the crowd's going crazy. They want to see this match. And Kiana says that right now it's going to be Dr. Wagner versus R-Truth, and the winner earns the right to call himself Cena's biggest fan. And yeah, this gets a 74. Very happy with that. 75. And then Dr. Wagner comes out 55. R-Truth 69. Interesting. Yeah, the language barrier definitely makes sense. I'll see if I can work on that. And yeah, we got the crowd is white hot for Dr. Wagner versus R-Truth. We start out with Truth. He's doing some Cena taunts. He's showing how big of a fan he is. Dr. Wagner is showing off of his lucha agility, doing some springboard arm drags and some quick roll throughs. But Truth, he's actually doing well. He gets some great chain wrestling counters. Cena's ringside. He's talking to Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, laughing and pointing out, you don't forget, Truth can really go. He's held titles at a lot of places. I hope this Wagner guy is not sleeping on him. Wagner goes for a moonsault, but Truth rolls out of the way and hits a scissor kick, and he sets up for the 5-knuckle shuffle. He's really committed to being Cena's biggest fan here. Truth tries to go for the attitude adjustment. The crowd's going crazy, but Wagner, he gets out of it. He gets free. He bounces off the ropes, ducks a clothesline, and rolls him up. Tight cradle. 1, 2, 3. Your winner, Dr. Wagner. Wow, this is a 50 match. I was surprised because he has like no pop here at all. And yeah, Dr. Wagner wins with a quick roll up. He helps Truth up, and they shake hands. They're both baby faces. I wanted to make this a comedy match, but I didn't because he can't do comedy matches, and I think this is really the only one I'm going to do for this storyline. But it's an R-Truth match. He does 59, Wagner 57. He's in amazing form. Very happy with that. We're gonna have to use him more. Maybe more matches will just pop up. But yeah, they shake hands. Cena walks back into the ring, raising both of their hands. He tells Truth, don't worry, you're both my biggest fans. Truth asks him if that means he won. Cena says, sure, Truth, you're always a winner in my heart. A good feel good match, a fun match, to kind of cool the crowd down a little bit and get Dr. Wagner some exposure on Raw. We're going to see what happens now that he's the #1 Cena fan in the WWE. After we go to commercial there, Damage Control are out on the ring after commercial break. Dakota Kai is holding the mic saying, this is what unity looks like. This is strength. This is Damage Control. And we're going to make history. Kairi Sane, she says a few lines in Japanese and says in English that she's going to the Royal Rumble. Crowd cheers for her. Io Sky says Kairi's not going alone. I'll be in the Rumble too. We're going to fight together and we're going to fly together all the way to WrestleMania. Dakota, is also excited. She says, count me in too. We've got each other's backs all here. And, Asuka might not be cleared yet. She's still injured. But when she is cleared, someone's getting kicked in the next week. The crowd's going crazy. They're chanting Asuka's name, and everyone's happy when suddenly Braun Breaker's, the sirens hit. The crowd's booing because he's interrupting this feel-good moment. He's what a jerk. He grabs a mic at ringside, and he's acting all cocky. Oh, isn't this sweet? A little Damage Control party out here. Oh, we all group hug. But, we're talking about the Royal Rumble. Let's talk about someone that actually matters, that actually has a shot of winning the Royal Rumble. Me, Braun Breaker. He gets into the ring, he's circling around them, he's like a condescending asshole, I'm declaring for the Royal Rumble too, and I don't need a group of cheerleaders to do it. I've already proven that I'm a dog, and I'm the most dangerous man in WWE. After I broke Sheamus in half last Saturday, that Saturday night's main event, I'm moving on to break 29 others on my way to WrestleMania. Asuka and Io aren't scared though. They step towards Braun, which causes him to back off and leave the ring. And, he says, see you at Rumble if you last that long. So, what a jerk. But, yep, these four are in the Royal Rumble. This gets us 69. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Good segment. Good Damage Control segment. As we have the Karrion Kross and Eric Rowan match next. It's a storytelling match. I said it like that. And at the end, we'll have Eric Rowan hitting a pop-up spinning power slam. He's getting ready. He's setting up for a finish, but Scarlett climbs up onto the ring apron and yells at the ref, which, the ref's now distracted. While the ref has his back turned, Paul Ellering pulls out a black pouch from his coat and throws powder into Rowan's eyes, which caused Rowan to stumble, swinging around. He can't see. So Karrion Kross, he seizes this moment, and he gets the cross jacket. And he wins. Yep, by submission. Eric Rowan can't see. He taps out. Gets a 49. Actually, not that good. Oh well, it's decent enough. I'm happy with it. Karrion Kross frees The Miz. 46 for Kross, 41 for Eric Rowan. Let's see. Yeah, poor gimmick. Stamina, declining physical ability, whatever. And yeah, so after that, we have Liv Morgan come out to the ring, cutting a promo, saying that she knows Rhea is now the #1 contender, and she's tired of Rhea getting gifted chance after chance. She's really sick of it. Rhea comes out and says that, Liv wants to make sure that this is her final chance. So she says, well, you know what, Liv, why don't we do this at the Royal Rumble? I'll take myself out of the Women's Royal Rumble by facing you. Liv's laughing. She says, wow, Rhea actually has a good idea for once. So Liv accepts this, and suddenly, back from hiatus, Raquel Rodriguez runs out, starts beating up Rhea while Liv laughs from the ring. Damian Priest actually comes out this time to make the save and scare Raquel and Liv away. So yeah, Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan is now set for the Royal Rumble. And Rhea Ripley will not be in the actual Royal Rumble match. This gets a 75. The storyline gains heat. Liv Morgan, bought a lot of public support. As we got another match now. It's Robert Roode versus Kofi Kingston. Now, if you can remember, last Raw, Roode beat Xavier Woods. And Kofi wants to show that was a fluke win. So, we have Kofi throwing Robert Roode into the ref. Not an accidental, but a ref bump there, which lets Xavier Woods get in the ring and hit Robert Roode in the back a few times with a chair. As the ref wakes up, Xavier Woods is able to get out, and Kofi Kingston is able to get the win. By pinfall. 47 for Roode, 57 for Kofi. The match gets a 59. Happy enough with that. Roode was off his game. They have good chemistry, though. I'm very happy with that. The good chemistry definitely helps. 52 wrestling, 51 for the crowd. Awesome. We head backstage to Penta, who's he's walking towards the ring. Maybe he's looking for Alpha Academy. Maybe he told them he would answer them. He'd think about it. They asked him to be the leader. He'll think about it. We'll see. Suddenly, he's jumped by Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. Gable clearly wanting to send a message after Alpha Academy asked Penta to lead them. Otis, Tozawa, and Maxine come in to make the save. So, American-made jumping Penta, Alpha Academy, showing that they got his back. And hopefully he'll have theirs by joining Alpha Academy. That's what Alpha Academy is hoping, at least. 59, decent enough. As next we have a match between Logan Paul and Dragon Lee, where Logan wins, and it's a 15-minute match by pinfall with a handful of tights. Cheating a little bit to win there. It gets a 67. Very happy with that. A great match. 68 for Logan, 65 for Dragon Lee, 66 for the wrestling, 57 for the crowd. So Logan keeps his undefeated streak alive against the LWO after he cheats to win. Let's see if there were any. Just inexperience. That makes sense. The crowd's still hot. We go backstage to Kathy Kelly, who's interviewing Sheamus. Sheamus says that he's disappointed in himself for blowing an opportunity like that, but he knows he'll find his way back into that IC title picture. As we go back out to the ring for our main event, Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. Obviously, last week we set up the stipulation that if Sami Zayn loses this match, he's out of the bloodline. He cannot interfere with any bloodline business. So obviously Sami's fighting with a lot of heart, but Drew is just too much. It's a brutal 17 minutes, and Drew's got the setup for the Claymore, and he hits it. Which 1, 2, 3, Drew McIntyre defeats Sami Zayn in 18 minutes by pinfall with a Claymore, and he stands over Sami Zayn after the match. One less roach. Jey Uso appears on the ramp. He's furious, but he doesn't get physical. That match is a 79. Very happy with that. 76 for the wrestling, 72 for the crowd. Sami with a 76, Drew with a 77. And that's a great end to the show. I think they have pretty good chemistry, and yeah, I made it a slow build, and yeah, very happy with that. Let's see the whole show. They have good chemistry. Awesome. We get an 82 for this show. Awesome. So almost as good as our Saturday night's main event show. We've really been cooking. I'm really happy with this show. Obviously, Triple Threat was fantastic. The tag team title match, we set up Sonya Deville. We got Cena's top fan. The Miz is now free. A quick New Day match. Logan Paul versus Dragon Lee was great, and then now Sami Zayn barred from the Bloodline. So we'll see what that means later. And yeah, obviously we're still at shocked phase, so we can't increase in pop, unfortunately, for another few weeks. But what do you guys think? If you enjoyed the show, leave a like, subscribe. Let me know some feedback in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time for NXT.